Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Dish by Keev. I'm joined today by Luis Moran of Inclusive Action. We'll be talking about everything business funding. Welcome to the show, Luis.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate that, man. So I guess we'll jump into it and start by introducing yourself and what do you do?
Yeah, of course. So, as mentioned, my name is Luis Moran. I am a technical assistant associate at Inclusive Action for the city. We're a nonprofit. We're a community development financial institution located in East LA in Boyle Heights. Our mission is simple. It's really to empower our underinvested communities through financial empowerment. We do this through a variety of ways. One way is through advocacy and policy. Another way is through community-driven research. But more specifically, me as a fellow entrepreneur, I work in our Access to Capital team, where we do a variety of things. We do business coaching. We connect businesses to tailored resources, to partner organizations. And more importantly, we provide access to capital, right? We provide access to capital ranging, business loans ranging from $500 all the way to $50,000
Sure.
with fixed annual interest rates.
That's awesome.
But that's kind of where I work at.
Sure. Awesome, man. Yeah, I know when I first started my restaurant, I'm an operator by trade, right? I had all my SOPs dialed in, my operations dialed in, but as simple as you may think it is, it's not as readily available. People are seeking resources. How can they contact you guys, or what can you guys do for them? What are those steps to achieving that?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I completely agree. I think it's really difficult first to know where to start off, right? I think there's a lot of organizations, and you might hear of some on the internet, right? But there's other nonprofit organizations or other smaller organizations, right, that are already driven in community that have a lot to offer, honestly, right? You can find us online at inclusiveaction.org, where you can learn more of the different programs, right, as well as like the access to capital aspect. But as you mentioned, I think as a business owner, it's really important for us to have a moment of clarity, right, and really sit down and be like, what do I need help with,
Sure.
right? Because
Sure.
I think from my experience, many folks come in not really knowing, right? They're like, I need help with marketing. And it's like, okay, but do you need pictures? Do you need photography? Do you need video creation? What specific aspect of marketing? So that's one advice that I definitely suggest business owners to take, right?
Sure.
To figure out what specifically is it that they're looking assistance with.
Absolutely. Definitely. The financial resources you guys provide, what are the requirements of that? What steps one would need to know to get involved in those actionable steps to be able to achieve that type of funding from you guys?
Yeah. Like I mentioned, on our website, there is a eligibility form, right?
Okay.
This eligibility form, you can go in at any time, fill it out, complete your information. And once you complete it, one of our team members will reach out to you to kind of follow up and get more information, right? To gauge. There are instances where a business might not be eligible, right?
Sure.
It might not be a point in their trajectory to get a loan, but they might be needing access to technical assistance, right? So I think it's important for folks to still take the time to go online, to fill out that eligibility form and learn a little bit more about the process and the requirements that we require for an application.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. How do Inclusive Action, how do you differ from a traditional bank, right? Why one would come to you instead of going to a traditional bank or trying to achieve a small business administration loan? What differs from the two?
Yeah, I think in my experience, both institutions have their pros and cons, right? I think one of the things that makes us unique is the fact that, like our partners, we're really in the community, right?
Sure.
So folks see us more as a trusted resource or a trusted hub, maybe more compared to like a bank, right? Where you might not get that one-on-one connection. But one of the things that we really try to gauge in is in the business coaching as well as the character-based lending. So for the character-based lending, we understand that, as a business owner, stuff happens. Whether it's a bill that you haven't paid or whether it's that you need support in this, right? It's that one-on-one conversation prior to the application to really get an understanding of, well, who is this individual,
Sure.
right? Like, what is going on in the business, right? And I think that's kind of what helps us really determine what the business owner needs. So I think it's that one-on-one support
Sure.
that folks get.
Sure. And typically with traditional banks, when one is trying to seek a loan, the interest rates are, they're enormous, right? And it really shies people away from trying to, acquire a loan. What are your interest rates like? Does that differ by credit score? Does that differ by, business size? Can you tell us a little bit more about the interest rates?
Yeah, of course. So as I mentioned, currently we have 3 different products, Raíces, our Tierra loan, and our Semilla loan, right? They're all business loans, ranging from 500 all the way to 50,000. Currently, our interest rates are from 3% to 8%. Okay. The beauty of it is that they're fixed, right? So nice. If you get a 5-year loan, that's that fixed interest rate. It never changes, sure. No surprises. You have that fixed payment. Right. One of the things that I want to talk about is the thing that with this concept of bad debt, right? As a business owner, getting a loan or getting into debt is a serious matter. Sure. Like for many, it could just be like, oh, it's just money that I'm going to use and I'm going to reinvest. No, like it's a commitment. And if you don't pay it off, there's consequences, right? So for us, it's really understanding how much can the client afford, right? Mm-hmm. So our priority is making sure that a business owner can cover their overhead, can cover their rent, can cover their personal utilities. And then what's left over, it's like, okay, well, that means you have some money left over to be able to afford to pay off this debt, right? And I think there might be instances where folks, not predatory lending, but get into situations where now I have a 21% interest rate loan that I have to pay every month and I don't have the income for that, right? And then what happens, right? So I think it's also our responsibility as a lender to ensure that we're not, giving this bad debt to our community members.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Beyond funding, what other resources? I know you mentioned a little bit of marketing. What other resources that you guys provide to, these small business owners?
Of course. Yeah. So if you go online, you'll have complete free access to a business development curriculum, right? This introduces topics of like permits and registration, ranging from brick and mortars to contractors to street vendors, understanding LLCs, corporations, right? It also gauges in pricing, a little bit of business development. All of this is free, right? Online. We also have a full-length marketing curriculum. Both of these are in English and in Spanish at the time. Additionally, we have cohorts and workshops. So we have a calendar of workshops that's accessible on our website. Folks, these workshops are completely free. So folks have access to signing up. Some of them are virtual. Some of them are in person. We have partnerships with Square, who have been a great partner, who have been able to deliver workshops, as well as Square readers, right? This year, we've been focusing more on cohorts. So currently, we have a business development cohort and a catering development cohort. Oh, so nice. We're working with several different industries. Me personally, I'm working with our food vendors, right? Our restaurant owners, our caterers, our street vendors, and really developing another income source. So we have 14 graduates from our cohort who have been connected to paid opportunities from our partners, from other organizations, right? And it's really amazing to not only see the growth from the business, but also personally, and additionally for folks to somehow get additional income funding to pay off their loan, right? Awesome, so it's kind of like we're assisting with the payment. But yeah, those are small aspects of our work that I think depict that bigger picture and differentiate us.
When you say assist with paying off the loans, can you talk a little bit more about that? Is that like via grant, or how are you guys helping the small business owners pay off loans?
We've had grants. We've had grants that we've deployed, right, to our business owners. We also connect business owners to any grants that come our way from our partner organizations and support with application. And as I mentioned, connecting our vendors to these paid opportunities translates to them getting the funding to be able to support with the loan payment.
Sure. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. What common challenges when you're seeing these small business development owners coming into your establishment and trying to seek loans or seek resources? What are some of the common challenges that you're seeing?
Yeah, I think as for a lot of restaurant owners, I think that the difficult part, and I think we're taking this from different industries, right, where you have a lot of overhead, right? You have you have employees, you have utilities, you have rent, you have insurance. And I think when you compare it to maybe other industries and other sectors, you don't have that much overhead,
Sure.
right? And I think one of the important things when you're getting into especially a space is having that foundation of the accounting aspect, right? Of like, how much do I need to make a month to even break even, right? Because a lot of us think like, oh, I just need a return of investment in my food.
Sure.
But it's like, no, that's not going to cut it, right? So it's really understanding if you're going to get into this space, it's a big commitment,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And it's like, am I ready? Is the business ready to take this huge step?
Sure.
But yeah, that's one of the common challenges that I see specifically with our restaurant owners.
Absolutely. And you're owner and a food truck, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, your parents had a lot of longevity in the industry, and you as of lately in the last 15 years, I believe you said. What is some advice from you being an operator yourself? What is some advice that you can give to some of these small business restaurant owners?
Yeah, of course. One of the things that we've been really trying to work on is our brand, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it can go over people's head where it's like, oh, it's just a name, a logo, but I think there's more to that. It's because we've been in our community for such a long period of time, over 25 years. We're now hosting like run meetups. We're hosting these community events that enable, like we have second, third generation folks still coming to the truck and being like, oh, I remember when I used to come with my family, and it's like trying to keep that alive. And it goes even with the music that we choose for our reels, right? It's our niche. It's that oldie Spanish rock, right? Where someone here, I remember like listening to that song when I was a little. All that I think goes a long way, and I think big corporations, McDonald's, Apple, they all do this in their own way. And I think for us as small business owners to also be like, well, how do we capitalize on this, right? Like we're part of the community. We serve a specific community. We have a purpose here. And it's like, how do we get more involved in the community? So that way, we're building that brand. And I think that's helped. We've seen the return of investment. We've seen customers returning. We've seen new customers because of all the collaborations and partnerships where you might be going for a run because the other organization, but you end up at the truck afterwards and you're like, oh, I really enjoy the run and I really love the food and I'm gonna come back. So
absolutely.
That's just one suggestion. I know it's tough. Out there.
Absolutely.
But and the other suggestion is we've been working with our food businesses to narrow the menu. I think a lot of times, a lot of our in the restaurant industry,
less is more sometimes, right?
Yeah. Like I think if we really get good, and I think we hear this all the time, but if we really get good at something, it's what makes a difference. And I can only speak from experience. All we sell is tortas. It's all we sell. We don't sell burritos, tacos, nothing. All we sell is a sandwich, and we've gotten really good at that sandwich. That we've been able to thrive. And that's one of the common things that I tell my clients where it's like, hey, like, let's revise your menu and let's really shorten it down. Cause I have clients with 35 options and I'm like, it's a little overwhelming, but you're probably spending a lot more money than you should be.
Absolutely. Definitely.
But yeah, happy to share.
Yeah, definitely. I think the branding aspect of it, it's so important. I think a lot of people miss that because they're so focused on the food, right? The food is the end product, right? But how do you cultivated experience prior to someone chasing your food, right? So I think you hit it on the nail with that.
To that point, though, I will say it's so tough because as a business owner, you're trying to wear multiple hats, and it's like if you're cooking, if you're buying the inventory, and you're doing the operations, and you're doing the accountability, the accounting, you can't do the marketing,
right?
And I think one of the suggestions or one of the advice that I got from a fellow colleague was invest in a photographer.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to. I was like, no, I could do it myself. Like I have a camera, and it's like, no, like invest in a photographer and just either list it as a business expense or just know that at the end of the month, that's an additional cost to just doing business.
Definitely.
And it has alleviated the work of taking the content, and now it's really just about like posting it, And unfortunately, I think I've seen from my clients where it's like, I don't have time, and it's like, it makes sense, and it's just thinking if we're thinking of growth, we're going to have to spend a little bit.
You got to make that investment. Yeah. I think a lot of people just like, they're just trying to stretch the dollar, right? And just like, hey, I'm not going to spend money on marketing because, I can, keep those reserves on hand, to continue to get me through maybe the slower season or whatnot. But I always say marketing is probably the most important thing to invest in your business. If nobody can find you, then that's less food you're selling, right?
And one suggestion too is and this ties a lot of things to like pricing and why pricing is so important, especially in a restaurant or food business, because we're all living off margins, right? But there is a clear difference if my plate right now that I'm selling or torta that I'm selling is $11.75, right? And I'm selling 200 units, right? What does it look like for me to add 10 cents and have it $10.85? And that money that I'm making, now I have money to use.
Sure.
Right. And
Yep.
it's just 10 cents.
Right,
Sometimes
right.
as a business owner, you're like, I have to increase it $1. And it's
Right.
like, no. Like, let's do it by 5 cents.
Right. A
Let's do
little
it by
goes a
10
long
cents.
way,
Because
right.
all that adds up. It's $60, $80 that now you have that you didn't have.
Right.
You know, and it's like now you're like, okay, maybe if I did this with the fries, or maybe if I did this with the drink,
Sure,
you know, like
sure.
it all adds up. So I think at the end of the day, it's really us realizing that when we're running these restaurants or food business, it's all about margins.
Yeah, definitely. So we're having this discussion about branding and marketing, and I know you mentioned that you guys have a series of different programs. What specific program that you guys have to offer as it relates to marketing? How can a small business restaurant owner leverage that?
Yeah, of course. So as I mentioned, one of our colleagues at Inclusive Action, she has been working on a tailored marketing curriculum. This covers, essences like your brand colors, your brand logo, your brand name, right? But it also goes in depth as to why it's important to be listed on Google Business
Sure.
or Yelp, or why to have an article published, because all of that is SEO, right? And you'll be the first search. So stuff like this, which I believe this month or next month that's coming, we're gonna have like the full release, and it's gonna be again online, available, digital.
Awesome.
For folks to have. But yeah, so folks can easily use these resources whenever they have time on their own to kind of go through it. But as well, we pair those with workshops. So
Nice.
we'll have these tailored workshops, and if it's not us, it's other partner organizations that are hosting these workshops.
Awesome, man. Awesome. For owners listening today, what actionable steps that they can take today into securing a loan or getting involved in some of these programs that you guys have?
Yeah, I think to just get involved, right? To just start to get involved is go on our website, go on our Instagram, go on our YouTube, just learn a little bit more of like what the organization does.
Sure.
And how we can support. It might not be a loan. It might be that you need support with renewing your permit, or you might need support with taxes, or you might just be interested in a workshop, right? Like, so it's really figuring out what does interest you,
Sure.
And as I mentioned, on our website, you'll find the curriculum. You'll find definitely more information on us. You'll find the calendar of events, right? But if you are interested in a loan, I definitely say feel free to connect with me, or connect with any of my colleagues
Sure.
at the organization. Fill out the eligibility form, but prior to doing so, I will suggest to have a plan, to construct a plan. There's times where, there's folks that are looking to fix the refrigerator, and they know by fixing the refrigerator, they're going to be able to sell drinks. And I'm like, okay, like that's a reasonable investment for debt.
Sure.
You're using
Sure.
it to your advantage. So for us as business owners, just prior to applying for a loan, having a game plan, having a strategy.
Definitely. It appears that you guys are a one-stop shop for many things, right? Yeah, you guys are very resourceful. So thanks for sharing that information. Any upcoming events, any upcoming initiatives that our listeners should know about?
Coming events, healthy menu development curriculum that we've been developing with a partner of ours, the Los Angeles Food Policy Council. We've been supporting restaurant owners specifically, which
Nice.
is funny, on how to develop healthy menus, right? Currently, it's a pilot program, and we're
Okay.
working with 15 to 20 businesses from the San Fernando Valley and South LA. However, through this work, we have been able to now have this curriculum on hand where we plan on supporting both our clients and community members who are interested in learning more about, how and why it's important to develop a healthier menu. And this work really started with the Good Food Zone initiative, where the Los Angeles Food Policy Council wants to enable community businesses, food businesses, to be able to provide healthy food alternatives to the community that they
Yeah,
serve.
that's very important. Very important. Where can we where can we find Inclusive Action? Social media handles, maybe a website. Can you share that with the audience?
Yeah. You can find us at www.inclusiveaction.org, or you can go on Instagram. You can find us there at Inclusive Action. And as always, my name is Luis Moran. If you'd like to contact me directly, my email is luis@inclusiveaction.org. I'm more than happy to support you with, any business related need that you may need.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, Luis, I appreciate you being here today. I'm sure this episode is going to be very impactful and very informative for people. My goal is to continue to provide resources for small business restaurants in particular. With me being a former restaurant owner myself, I know how tough it is to navigate the nuances of operating a restaurant. As you stated, it's so many moving parts, right? The inventory, the staffing, the cleanliness, health department permits or whatever. It's just so many moving parts to it. So, again, thanks for being here, and I really appreciate your efforts around that, man. Thank you.
No, likewise. I appreciate your time. Thank you for the invite.